I'm Pete Wally Walzak. I started this Warthog Build about 7 or 8 years ago. Was a big fan of Halo 3, used to play Halo 3 with my friends and neighbors, and the gauntlet was kind of thrown down when the Weta Studios made their Halo short video, and I said, hey, you know what? I think I could do that too. And the challenge was set, so I set off to do it. I'm not a car guy, just kind of learned skills along the way as I went, but here we are 8 years later with something that resembles a Warthog. So yeah, I'm here helping out a buddy of mine working on what he calls the Spartan project. It's going to be a music video, basically encapsulating some time frame where the Master Chief and some people are searching for Cortana. So kind of cold called me one day through Facebook. You know, I've got a Facebook page all about the Warthog Build here, and we just started talking, and we went from there. Okay, so as far as the project goes, this is really the debut of the Warthog. I scrambled to get it ready for this thing coming up here. So it's the first time, I think, beyond the Facebook page that it'll appear anywhere, so I'm pretty excited about that. I won't say I'm really prepared to show anything off about it, only because it's still held together with duct tape and chewing gum, but at least hopefully it looks pretty enough to make it on camera. And I just wanted to survive the shoot safely today. Again, it's the first time it'll be revealed, so it's kind of a big deal for me, my personal pet project. So the turret, the chain gun or the Gatling gun is kind of more iconic, certainly, but the Gauss cannon always had a special place in my heart because back in Halo 2 when it was first introduced, I always felt that was the coolest weapon. Had a lot of fun using it. It's kind of like a mini tank on the Warthog. So basically that's really the reason. You'll notice that I went with the Halo 2 version of the Gauss cannon. So yeah, that's why. It was the coolest weapon and maybe a little bit easier to build than the Gatling gun. Well, it started 8 years ago as basically just a dream and a frame of a Ford F-250, 1994 F-250. Like a bunch of ants, me and my friends ripped it apart, took the engine, the transmission, and the rear axle, and turned it into this. Had to learn a lot of metalworking and some other things. Again, I'm not a car guy, so I had to learn skills along the way, but that was all part of the process. And here we are. All right, so we started with the frame. I intended to use a 94 F-250, but as it turned out, it just wasn't gonna work for the shape of the vehicle, so built a custom frame out of tubular steel, 1/4-inch steel. Got some off-road tires here. These are Super Swamper TSL Bogger 38.5-inch tires. Had to custom build tusk hooks out of 1/8-inch plate steel. I've got a 17,000-pound winch there. Canopy here is custom made by some folks out in Indiana, a place called Shields. They were kind enough to take the plug that I made. I sent it to them. They were able to make a mold out of that, and here we have this today. This is the single most expensive piece of the vehicle, I'll have you know. So with that original F-250, I took the Ford Windsor 351 engine, as well as the C6 transmission, the rear axle, and the steering column. That's pretty much all I used. Everything else is handmade custom, just from bent steel. I used a mixture of 16 gauge and 18 gauge steel to kind of bend up what you see here. Most of it's welded. In some areas where it was just too hard to weld, there may be some rivets. The skin of the vehicle is mostly made out of aluminum, 3/32-inch aluminum, a combination of riveted and welded as well. The suspension is an airbag suspension, so it doesn't have standard classic springs like you're used to seeing. It's all airbag, so that gives you the spring function as well as the ability to raise and lower the vehicle at the push of a button. If you kind of come this way, so the dashboard is from a 94 Mercury Villager minivan, and the reason I chose that is pretty much it looked the most like a Warthog. You wouldn't expect to see a minivan in a high-tech vehicle like this, but it was the perfect look for the project that we were working on. All the controls in the cockpit, those are all the things that control the air conditioner and the airbag suspension. You'll see in the back here, we emulated the Warthog Gauss cannon from Halo 2. So yeah, the Gauss cannon used a simple PVC pipe, actually it's an ABS plastic pipe. Fabricated the box with the little scope on it out of sheet plastic with some aluminum structure on the inside. The turret itself that's holding it up is all tubular steel. And the pod on the outside, as well as some of the detail pieces, those are mostly 3D printed plastic. So yeah, most projects out there just are basically glorified props, and really this is no different. However, this thing was designed with storage in mind. So I can put a shovel or a jack in there. Could put some tools back here if I need to. It's got kind of some version of a trunk back here if we need to get equipment stored. Access to the engine compartment is through the hood. And I could pop the hood if you like. Still a long way to go. This is an unfinished project. And there we have the 351 engine. I had to custom make a frame to hold the radiator system. I had to get my own air filter device, air handler. Got 2 batteries, got a primary battery and basically an auxiliary battery to run all the off-road lights and turret and stuff like that. Obsession, boredom.8interestingly, I kind of mentioned the challenge earlier. It was right around the same time the Weta Studios made their Halo Landfall shorts. And my neighbor's kid and I would play a lot of Halo 3 multiplayer. We got to see the video. And I said, hey, it's just a truck. I can build that. He said, nuh-uh. I said, yeah. He said, nuh-uh. All right, I'll show you. So several years later, that was probably about 15 years ago, I took up the challenge and here it is. Don't ever tell me I can't do something. No, he's in the Air Force now. He's seen it though, yeah, he's seen it, yeah. The paint job's not finished yet. Right now it's mostly just primer because we're working on a project this weekend. Hopefully in the future I'll get some darker gray here. But the green is a bed liner, Raptor liner bed liner for a truck or a bed liner of a pickup truck. You sprayed that on there. The decals and the details are just stencils that I made with a little stencil cutter. Spray painted them on there, pretty basic. So one of the interesting parts of the build is the things I thought would be easy turned out to be hard, and most of the things I thought would be really hard turned out to be easy. For example, not being a car guy, I'm more of an engineer background. I figured you can go to AutoZone and buy a 36-inch whatever, but you can't. You have to know what car it goes to, exactly how long it is on that vehicle, etc. Otherwise it won't fit on your car. And that's what I found pretty frustrating. The folks at car parts stores aren't really knowledgeable on the specifications of their parts. They just look it up in the computer and see what car it matches. So that turned out to be pretty hard. I found things that I thought were hard, like welding the frame and welding the skin of the vehicle, to be a little bit easier than I expected. There's lots of horror stories out there of how difficult it is to weld aluminum. And although I have certainly complained about the challenge, in the end it actually turned out with a little bit of practice to be a lot easier than I thought. Bending metal and shaping metal also is a separate kind of car skill, which I didn't have when I started, but I purchased some tools, which certainly weren't cheap, but I purchased some tools and just kind of worked away until I learned the skill. Specifically, there's a gadget called the English wheel where you can move metal back and forth in it and give it nice curves, and lo and behold, it worked. So in the next 2 years or so, I hope to have this vehicle in its complete state. Right now, you can see there's obviously exposed wires and open panels and things. I certainly hope to have it street legal, maybe. That's my ultimate goal, get it registered. Have it complete where it runs with shocks and it's smooth running on the highway. Can hopefully get a little bit better gas mileage, tune the engine, and I like to be done in 2 years.